Hello, everyone. I'm back with another participant of my 4 to 6 week intro nutrition program. I have Jim here. We've been working together for a few months now. We started off just with stretching, right? So just doing FST work. And then, as the months went on, Jim was talking about wanting to really dial in with nutrition and learn some things and start to feel better. And so, yeah, he got started with this 6 weeks ago now. And so, Jim, tell us a little bit, a couple things that you kind of took out of the program or what you've learned or, what kind of results that you weren't expecting that you got, things like that.
Perfect. Yes. I think the biggest thing I learned was as we kind of reintroduced food, how one food can affect your belly so much. I thought I was eating well, but I definitely was not, and was
Yeah.
putting too much of everything in there and not feeling
Okay.
good every day. So when we
Okay.
started reintroducing food, it was like, oh, that doesn't react well with me. I've got to take that
Yeah.
out of my diet. Was foreign. So I think
Right.
that was the biggest thing for me, and some of the triggers that were in there. But I
Right.
really, as we kind of walked through it, it taught me how to eat again.
Hmm.
In all honesty, I was when you think you're healthy and you're not, you're
Yeah.
probably in the most dangerous spot, and that's where I
Right.
was.
Right.
And what
Right.
this program did was it reset everything. And I think from there you start to learn what you start to hear, because you're only putting good things in your body and you're only
Yeah.
doing it at certain times of the day. So you really start to understand what your stomach's saying, what your what works, what doesn't work for you very quickly. So I think the
Yeah.
program from that perspective really helped on that side for me.
Okay. And did you find it difficult to go through it? Like, did you have any challenges or was it all
Yes,
smooth?
I had
Yeah. Okay.
challenges for sure, like everybody
Yeah.
else, but like that first celery juice is always the biggest challenge. Get through
That's
that
so
one. I
funny. That's so funny because one of the other people that did this, we talked a little bit about the juice cleanse and the celery juice came up because it's the same for me too. But I think the important thing is, sometimes you just have to have things because they're good for you, right? And over time, it does get better, right?
definitely,
But yeah,
definitely, and I really do think the juice cleanse helps because it does start you off it's a shock to the system, right? And then you're like, for me, it was a mindset right away. As soon as I got into
yeah,
that, it changed everything, because they've already gone through 2 days of this. All right,
yeah,
let's stick to the course.
right,
And then when he got into soup, it was basically soup day, I call it.
right,
It was something that tasted so good after that it
right.
just led you to believe, okay, I got to really dive into this program. This is good food. I'm eating stuff I like, kind of
Yeah,
thing. So I think the
yeah.
juice cleanse really is a great starter for it.
For sure. And that's the whole that sets the foundation for the program, right? So when I talk about, when I talk to other people about it, like what's it all about? I say the juice cleanse is the most important part to start off because it basically gives your gut a clean slate, right? So that when we start to reintroduce foods, we can really start to analyze and see how that feels. And in terms of the scientific side of it, the cells in the gut take 3 days to regenerate. So that's the whole idea with the 3 day cleanse, so that we are getting rid of those old damaged cells. So we're starting fresh as we get into, the first week of, reintroducing foods, like you said, to learn, what's bothering you, what's not. What would you say is the biggest difference of how you felt before doing this versus now?
Oh, I think every night I went to bed bloated almost. Like if I really truly thought about it and didn't,
Hmm.
you're masking what was happening in your body more than anything. I think
Yeah.
that is the greatest thing, and I sleep so much better because of it.
Right.
You'd roll around in bed trying to get to sleep because you're bloated, and
Hmm.
now I fall asleep hard. If
Yeah.
I get into bed, I'm asleep in 10 minutes, whereas
Yeah.
before it was like, I was an hour trying to get to sleep. So it's changed my
Right.
sleeping habits massively.
Right. And so one of the things that you brought up was the one, I think it was like probably 3 weeks in, was, is it normal that I'm dreaming and, having these vivid dreams, right? Where you didn't have that before. And that's just a sign that you are getting deeper into your sleep, right? You might not always remember them, but if you're dreaming, you are kind of in that deep REM cycle that allows you to actually fully rest. And that's why rest is so important, and that's why, when you have better rest, you have more energy, right? So if you're not resting and allowing your body to heal and to recover and repair the cells, then no wonder you wake up not feeling rested, or you just don't have energy throughout the day. So sleep, like I think that was a big kind of takeaway for you, is how really important sleep is.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And how poor my sleep was before, and
Yeah.
it's changed a lot. And my wife, I've stopped asking her the questions because I know it's the dreams now because they're so vivid and so real. I
Yeah.
was asking her
Yeah.
questions the next day.
Right. That's
So
hilarious.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gone from a person who doesn't sleep very well to someone who sleeps very hard.
Hmm.
It's a short window, it's 6 to 7 hours, but I'll
Yeah.
take it because I couldn't
But it's
before.
solid. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
more solid sleep, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. So we're still working on that. We want to get closer to that 7 to 8 hours, right? Is kind of the
Yeah.
ideal, but in 6 weeks, that's a huge change, right? So I know as we continue to grow your gut and to make it stronger, because right, it just doesn't take 6 weeks. It takes time, but you set the solid foundation and already gotten some really good results. So now it's just building on that now, right?
Exactly.
So one of the unique parts that you went through with the program that not everybody else did, and this is why I call it a 4 to 6 week program, because the 4 for me is the minimum. That's where you're going to get the basics and the foundation to move forward. 6, I just say because it just gives you a couple extra weeks to play around. There's a week called intuitive eating where it's all up to you and you kind of fast and you do what you feel you need to do and eat the foods that you feel your body needs. Now that 5th week, you had a vacation planned, right? And this was before. And he said that's fine. As long as you get that 4 solid weeks, that's okay. But talk about your experience going on vacation.
Definitely. Number one, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it any earlier in that program. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it to anybody who's doing it because I don't think you're ready yet. I
Hmm.
don't even know if I was ready right then, but discipline helped. It was neat because we went south, so there was lots of fresh food.
Yep.
If there was a spot where there wasn't a lot of fresh food, I would think there would have been harder choices to make.
Right.
But yes, I think there's I don't know how to describe it because you're there's a level of guilt, there's a level of because you're in this program and you don't want to let anybody yourself down and anybody else down. So I think there was a little bit of that in there, but
Yeah.
the things that you were teaching me before I went, I used at every meal. It was like, okay, how do we order a fish with all the sauce on the side? How does this meal work? So I researched all the menus of all the restaurants we
Yep.
were going to at night.
Yep.
And I made sure that I knew before I went there what I was ordering so that I didn't leave it
Right.
up to one cocktail in going, oh, screw it, tonight I'm going to have
Right.
this,
Right. Right.
I tried to pre-plan everything that I did on the vacation as far as food was considered.
Yeah.
And then the resort was awesome for walks and for workouts.
Right.
So got
Right.
lots of that in. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kept your daily movement, which was one thing we talked about, keeping up with the water. And then, yeah, doing your research on the food. But also, I know you were a little stressed about it, but it was like I said to you that time, I said, well, this is going to be a good learning experience for you because how you used to vacation before probably was a lot different than this time around, right? You
Oh,
were
for
just a
sure.
little bit more aware and a little bit more, conscious of what you were doing. And how did you feel coming back from that vacation?
Uh, actually felt rested. You know how
Yeah.
sometimes you need a vacation from a vacation when you do the
Yeah.
wrong things on it.
Yeah.
This time
Yeah.
I felt like I had a restful vacation. Number one,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't feel bloated at all because we're eating the right things all the way
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I didn't. You know how on the plane you swell a little bit as well. No
Yeah.
swelling coming off.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
That's really good. Yeah. We
yeah,
didn't talk about that. I didn't know that that was one of the things. So that's great. That's
yeah.
really,
It's
really
great.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it's not like you didn't enjoy the things, right? You had some
No,
cocktails and but that's life. That's the balance of it. But now that you have all the knowledge of how to, go on those vacations and still kind of stay on track, but still enjoy yourself because you need to kick back and relax sometimes too, right? So,
exactly.
yeah. So that's fantastic. Is there anything else that you want to say about the program or that stood out for you or um
No, you know what? I think the biggest thing that there are some lulls, and if the interview goes to somebody who's going through one of those lulls,
yeah.
sometimes you need to push through a little bit. There,
Yeah.
those dark days in the winter are tough sometimes, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not at dinner time yet, or you're trying to get
Yeah.
your fast through.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just my trick was to go get out of the house.
Right.
I don't know if I can help anybody out with this, and I chewed a ton of gum. Those
Yeah.
are my two tricks. So yeah, going for a walk was
Yeah.
my escape of the refrigerator. So
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
open if anybody ever wants to call that's in the program and just ask a
Awesome.
couple questions for sure. But I'm not perfect. That is
Yeah.
definitely sure. But
Yeah.
there are little tricks that I used. There are some tough times though in those
Yep.
afternoons where you're like, I
Yeah.
really just want to eat something bad for myself. But yeah,
Right.
go for that walk. take that time.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And the biggest thing that we were looking at too was the symptoms that you had going in, and when we redid them, most of them or all of them were gone, which is good. And the big one is the sugar craving, right? You don't get that as much. It's still there sometimes, but it's getting better, right? Because you're building that microbiome, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's awesome. Well, thanks for your insight, and we still have that Facebook group. So as people kind of come in, that's kind of your spot to kind of ask questions too. But I'm looking forward to moving forward in 2024. I know we've talked about kind of what you want to do with that and continuing on because it's just the beginning, right? So
Yeah.
and obviously this program's primarily about learning and seeing how certain foods affect you and what gives you energy, what doesn't give you energy. Obviously, there's the side effect of that is that you're getting to a healthier, body weight, and so that you're feeling better that way. But the biggest thing, that I wanted to get you guys to get out of it was just feeling better, right? And all those other things will happen because of that, right? If you're focusing on just feeling better, doing things that you haven't been able to do before. Oh, speaking of which, you did mention something with your volleyball team. So you're a volleyball coach. So
Yes.
what have you noticed in terms of what you've been able to do at practice? Because you did talk about that a little bit.
Yes, and I mean the difference between where I was pre the start, let's call it, and then post. I was kind of shuffling around, just bumping the ball around with the girls, trying to participate. We only have 11, so I have to jump in when we want to scrimmage, and I
Right.
was out of it essentially. And now I'm one of the limberest of the 13U girls, if you think about
That's
it that way.
hilarious.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just I don't hurt. I don't. I have much faster and easier movements.
Right.
I'm sure it's. I don't attribute it to joint pain, but I'm sure there was a lot
Mhm.
before, and
Right.
now they're
For the
like I just feel.
inflammation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel free moving. It's
Yeah.
great. I
Awesome.
get to so many more balls than I used to. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I'm sure they've noticed a difference too, which is good, right? And you've been talking to them
Yes.
about the stretching and a little bit about nutrition. You make sure that they have some good options, when they're at their tournaments, right? Because that's really important for them too, right? For their energy and their performance and all that stuff. So you've been, obviously a good example to them too, right? So
For
that's
sure.
that's one of the side effects too. You're influencing the people around you too, right? Your family, your players, your friends, even if you don't think you are,
You
right?
hope, right?
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. All right, Jim. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time on a Saturday before you head out for your drive for your Christmas holidays. I appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to continuing and seeing you in the new year.
Can't wait. Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. Check out the video where I explain a little bit more about the program, what's involved in it. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.